Yeah. Um, Knight of Cups reversed is very much about us not always wanting to take in the new ways of feeling that connectedness, of feeling worthy of that. In a lot of ways, it kind of feels like folks are really trying to open up their funnel to all of this information, to this divine information, to this collective information, to understanding that we're not alone. So I know a really big thing for a lot of folks is feeling like they're the only person who's experiencing certain things, or feeling like they're alone in the world, or that nobody gets it. But when you do meet people who get it, it's kind of like, oh shit, I spent so much time encapsulating myself and living in this world where I've created this mechanism for myself that when other people are voicing it, I feel kind of attached to this feeling, or I feel like I'm not able to share my experience with this feeling because it's intense and it's something that I've stewed in my head for so long, right? So I think what's important is to let those feelings die, let those ideas die. What helps me personally is sometimes when I'm feeling so like kept up and I'm feeling all this anxious energy and I'm feeling like tight in myself, I imagine air just moving through my head and I breathe deeply. And I literally see that energy airing out in my head, feeling that coolness, feeling the water wash over me and just washing it out. I let my mind go into silence. I let myself not react to those thoughts that are telling me I am alone. The thoughts that are telling me that this experience is too intense, or this is not something that is real, or that I have to even be worried about other people, or that people are trying to hurt me in some way. It can be really easy to feel like folks are manipulating you with their own emotions, or that people are acting a certain way, just to kind of empathize with you, or sympathize with you rather. But again, these are all mechanisms that our minds create to kind of put us in the shell sometimes, just because that's what sometimes we're used to, or what lives in our lower selves. But as we ascend higher and higher, it's important to remember that these aren't our realities if we don't choose for them to be. And if we ask for higher realities, we can have them, right? So I had to pause the video for a second, and I felt I needed to read this little booklet from the Isis deck, and I think it's really important. So, in community that is based in equality, respect, healthy boundaries, and personal freedom, with a mutual desire for spiritual growth and honoring of innate wisdom, great miracles occur. You are part of this community of light. At one time it existed only in the spiritual worlds, yet now it is being born on the earth. It is part of your destiny to help create and nurture a conscious community that empowers all of its members and is based in truth. Letting the divine feminine nourish you now into new relationships, collaborations, community, and friendship is very wise. There are many souls with whom you have spiritual contracts decided before you were born who wish to help you, and whom you can help too as you grow closer together in peace and light and wisdom. Your light has value on its own, of course, but it is also of deep service when it is visible to others, lighting the way. You are guided to allow the beloved Isis to help you now through community. There can be strength in numbers. Community can help you gain the added power of group effort to rise above the old patterns and lift each other into the new patterns that are so much more real and beautiful. In unity with the divine and each other, we grow and we become capable of such wonders. Mother Isis says that there is so much light awakening within our planet, and so much spiritual light gifted to Earth from celestial beings at this time, that it makes sense to build a large enough container to receive it. Groups that are willing to learn to connect at heart level, honoring each other as divine beings, can become capable of calling in and receiving tremendous forces of light in service to humanity and the Earth. If you had enough electricity to power a city, you wouldn't try to fit it in one house. Likewise, with all the spiritual electricity becoming available on Earth, groups are needed to help it to circulate and flow. So, basically, let's see if there's anything else being pulled from here. La 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 la. Yeah, if you are in a community but are finding that group ego is becoming more powerful than the group soul, then the energy of the community is pulling you down rather than lifting you up, then this oracle says to trust in the divine feminine to lead you onwards. Give your best and most truthful expression and effort, but if this community is not of a vibration that can work for you, then move on. Without judgment or fear, just move on and trust that with the law of magnetism, you will attract yourself into a community that has the best vibration for you. If you found that you have guidance to build community yourself and are feeling a little overwhelmed at the thought, stay calm and stay in your heart. Allow yourself to collaborate with others and work in smaller groups in connection with each other as a way to build community together. It will happen naturally. The Divine Sisterhood will guide you if you ask for their assistance with unconditional love. So I think it's really important to note that, again, we're always going to be attracted to the people that are most aligned with us. They're always going to be there. It's just a matter of not programming it into our minds that we're not going to be there. There's not going to be enough time, or you're going to miss it, or whatever. I think it's also really important to note that there's always more than meets the eye. I feel like it's also really important with Instagram culture, where we feel like if we're not with certain people, then, you know, there's something wrong with us. And it's just like, not everybody's vibrating the same. And that's completely okay. Everybody is exactly where they need to be. So let's pull for the 3rd and 4th weeks of October. La, 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 la. Cool. Alright. Okay. Okay. So with the energy of the Two of Coins reversed, it always feels like there's never enough of time. There's never enough of anything. It's kind of an infinite loop of biting yourself in the ass, of trying to manage everything together and make things go into each other, but it never seems to work out. And it can kind of lead to a feeling of hopelessness. It can lead to a feeling of being out of step and being out of whack. For a lot of you, this is going to mean kind of light energy of crossing. Mostly because I find that a lot of the time when people are kind of trying to move out of old circumstances or change, there can be a lot of painful energy that comes with it from the people that were around. So this can mean a lot of maleo. This can mean a lot of people making it seem like you're better than them. I'm also seeing the word hex, so some of y'all gonna have to do a little sun, do a little coffee bath. I don't know, but this is mostly kind of the energy of feeling out of step. So really the most important things to do is to take care of yourself. Go into nature, take a walk, right? Bathe in some herbs that bring your energetic body back into balance. Work with root, work with rosemary, work with nettle, as my favorite Elsie has taught me. Really just working with plant medicines and just medicines in general that help you realign yourself. Carry that agua florida, you know? Really acknowledge that sometimes anxiety is telling you to move away from certain things, or to lessen the amount of thoughts on certain things, or to step back, right? And finding that the more you implement these technologies into your everyday, the easier it'll be for you to know you're exactly where you need to be, to do the things that you need to do, to pay attention to your intuition enough to know, okay, I kind of feel a nudge to go this way, so I'm going to go this way. And you end up meeting with someone that you can build community with, making connections that are genuine. So to connect week 1 and 2 back to 3, there's sometimes going to be some moments where you feel like kind of the situations you've always been reaching for start to fall into step, but you kind of recognize a little bit later it's not the way that you needed it to be, or the person you thought that the person was. You know, there are going to be kind of situations where we switch out of gear, or we think we're switching out of gear just to be where we need to be with who we need to be with, and kind of in the state of mind that we needed to be in to take in those lessons. So with the 5 of Coins, there are going to be those moments of mourning. There are going to be those moments of really feeling like we're failing and falling as we're healing. There are always going to be moments where in like the dark night of our healing stage, we feel like I've lost so many things that I really cared about. I've lost so many things that meant so much to me. And I feel alone and I feel destitute, but really recognizing those things were kind of crutches. Those things were not necessarily fulfilling you. And the more you kind of tap into kind of the knowing that every pain pays off for something, it'll be easier to recognize that's just the detox. Even as you're literally actually doing a detox, you get grumpy as shit. You want to fight. You want to square up. You want to eat that cheeseburger. You know what I mean? You literally can give in, but if you give it a week, you give it a little bit of time, literally a week in this case, you'll find yourself feeling better. You'll find yourself understanding that sometimes you need to purge. You need to let go of the things that weren't really holding you down in the best ways to get to where you want to be, right? So over week 3, it kind of feels like almost this like this slightly desperate energy to cling to something. I don't think it's any coincidence that week 3 of October is where we start to move into Scorpio season. So as we're in Scorpio with Venus in Scorpio, it can be very intense just because Scorpio energy can be literally that, but also with Venus in Scorpio, it can feel very easy to use people as an excuse to not go into your void. It can be easy to become very much addicted to people or addicted to the idea of feeling like you have to run from your own healing. But remembering that if you look at most Scorpios that aren't fully evolved, and this isn't to throw shots at anyone, they have a very specific cycle of giving so much energy to kind of escape that point where they just drop into themselves. And then when they do drop, they're not there for a long time. They disappear for a while because they need to spend 2-3 times as much energy to take back their own personal energy, when if they had just taken the time before to take that energy to really reconcile with themselves or just be alone, it would have been okay. So kind of just acknowledging there's a balance between the work we can do in community to heal ourselves, the work we can do with others to become better, to understand where we're all connecting, how we're all feeling the same cosmic shifts, and then that time where we have to do that shadow work by ourselves, the time where we really do have to kind of see what's going on for ourselves. So I would say during this 3rd week, if you do find yourself out of step a lot, really, of course, yes, do take that time alone, but also see if there are people around you that you really trust that are kind of dealing with the same thing. And, share some tools from your toolbox. If they have a great recipe for a baño that you like, share it. If you have some herbs to offer, share it. This is another way that we can create community, where we kind of sit down and have these spaces where we talk about the real shit, the shit that really hurts us, the shit that has made us fucking phoenixes, and creating these spaces and being vulnerable and fearless in those spaces is really important. And, some of us are doing the work in that way. Hashtag Pharaoh's got the juice. But yeah, there are definitely a lot of folks that are doing that kind of work. There are a lot of folks that are creating those kinds of spaces, and I say to you, if you're one of those people who wants to make those spaces, do it. Be fearless in that. So, moving to week 4 of October, the first couple, I'm sorry, y'all. I've been in a coffee shop all day. I've been around motherfuckers. I've been around a lot of people today. But the first card that we get for week 4 is 6 of Cups. So this is some really, like, what's the word? Reflective energy. 6 of Cups, I believe, is normally depicted as us spending time with folks from the past. This can be some energy where we really get into the nitty motherfucking gritty of this Venus in Scorpio, where some of us are going to see our exes, where some of us are really going to have those dreams. You know what dreams I'm talking about, those psychic ass dreams, and I already know I'm gonna have a whole bunch of them, but those dreams where you're doing a lot of deep soul work, a lot of healing work, kind of in the astral, based on those heavy, deep relationships. I'm feeling this vibrating really hard. This week is going to be really intense for a lot of you, where some of you are going to wake up crying, you're going to wake up in a terrible mood, you're going to wake up emotional, you're going to wake up wanting to call that person, you're going to wake up and later see that person. It's going to feel like a lot for a lot of you. I'm not even going to lie. But again, toolbox. So sleeping with a rose quartz, sleeping with a malachite. Malachite is wonderful for healing the heart, but also breaking through blockages of the heart. and helping you become more stable in the midst of that, right? Sleeping with rhodonite, working with these stones, carrying them, infusing them in your water. Cannot put malachite in water, just letting you guys know. Don't do that. Put the stone next to the water and put that intent in there. Think the crystal, you know what I'm saying? Be smart, be safe. Sleeping with selenite. Also, make sure that the selenite is on a side table. Don't put that under your pillow. It might snap. Don't put it in your water because it will fucking break. Be careful with your crystals. Love on them. Coming soon on a video. So really just being mindful of how our spirits react to that. I would say if you have very strong Scorpio placements, excuse me, or your chart is heavy with Neptune energy, it's going to be very intense for you in the psychic realms. So be aware of that. And if you have a crazy ex, guard yourself. You know what I mean? Being mindful of that. Also working with herbs or plants like roses, damiana, mugwort. Whoo! I would say even rhodiola for mental clarity. Just because these are all going to affect us in a lot of ways, and we're going to be thinking about the past heavily. But I think what's most important is the ways that we respond to this. So whereas in a lot of cases during retrogrades, especially Mercury retrogrades, we get that strong urge to speak to that person. Sometimes there's nothing to say. Sometimes these reflections just have to happen on our levels so we can really see where we're at in regards to them. You know, I've been having a lot of thoughts recently where I've thought about people I've dated, and I asked myself, what would I do if I saw them? What would I do if I saw them right there? And I'm just like, I would say hi and keep it pushing. You know what I mean? There are certain situations where I feel like I have a right to be bitter, but what does that even mean? You know what I mean? I have a right to feel however I choose to feel, but at the end of the day, do I choose to lower my vibration for something that happened however long ago? Do I choose to become less of myself in the midst of these issues? And some days the answer is different, you know what I mean? It all depends on how I'm feeling, how triggered I feel. And that's valid too, but it's really important to remember sometimes there's nothing to say, sometimes there is something to say. But really asking yourself also, who do I become in the midst of this situation? Who do I become when I'm challenged by this thought, by this person, or the idea of this person? And then pulling from all of that, asking yourself, looking at the answers to all of this, what does this person represent for me? If I could put a word to them, what are they? What lesson do they present to me? And what am I learning from that? How am I healing from that? What, you know, my phone vibrated, so you know that's important. Yeah, really asking yourself, what does this person mean? What do people mean? People are just fucking figments. We all created this shit, so it's like, what dream symbol are they? You know, what's their spirit? And the last card from the from the Miss Cleo deck for October is the Eight of Staffs. So this is really fucking important just because we started in some murky, heavy ass energy, and it's like as we move along the month, everything starts to accelerate, all with the help of community, right? So in the midst of all of this, when we make our real decisions about who we are, when we're challenged by the idea of community, what community brings up for us, we create a lot of connections that are powerful, enduring, and have the potential to change the world. And I don't mean this in any light way. I mean very much like your actions today create everything. There are so many timelines that we're constantly shifting between, and it's really important to note that every action means something. Every action breeds a reaction. It's the butterfly effect, you know what I mean? And we're all transforming in that way. So it's really important to note that. But also acknowledging that, why I feel like I was just running or some shit. Oh, sorry. Be forgetting this shirt showing my titties, so I'm just like, bitch can't breathe. So yeah, asking yourself, where do I move to when this tower falls? What do I become? Who do I convene with? Who do I heal with? Making big decisions on who you choose to create your healing with. Do you continue to try to heal with people that might not be beneficial for you? Do you see the light in these people and know that they have the potential to heal? Do you acknowledge that they are fine just the way they are? Do you choose to explore different places with different kinds of people? Do you choose to do both? Do you choose to spend time by yourself? Do you choose to create a community? Do you choose to go into all of these realms? It's really kind of up to us. But most importantly, it's really important that we revolutionize our ideas of what that looks like for us. How we choose to be supported in the midst of all of that. How we choose to support others in the midst of all of that. And kind of acknowledging that everything moves quickly as soon as we make those decisions. You decide, okay, I want to build this group and I want it to be based on this. And I'm going to post this flyer here. Or I'm going to send this to this person, and cool, it's happening. There we are. Just really being able to reach out and know that there are so many folks looking for these connections, looking to kind of grow, looking to heal, looking to learn new things, looking to share, that as soon as we decide, okay, this is what we want to do, Spirit's going to be like, word, you want to do that? Let's do it. So really just making sure that we're giving ourselves the time and the energy. We're giving ourselves the energy to take up the space that we've been telling ourselves we need. We're claiming the birthrights, you know, that we've had forever, the ones that we've been posting about, the ones that we've been talking about or supporting in others that we might not have seen in ourselves, and we're giving ourselves a chance to really like grow in the midst of that. So that's really important. Let's pull another card from the Isis deck. Ooh, Scales of Balance. Ancient Tantra of the Soul. We getting spicy here. But then again, it is almost Scorpio season, so what did we expect? So, let me just read it straight from the book. La 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 la. You are a tantrika, an initiate of the path of divine healing of the masculine and feminine, the two sacred polarities that are universal to human experience. As these energies come into mutual respect and balance, you attain great power, presence, and healing effect in the world of the soul and in the human world of forms here on earth. Excuse me. You are supported in further exploring this path now under the auspices and blessings of beloved Isis. If you're one of my clients, you know I've been telling most of y'all to work with Tantra. I feel like I say that like 10 times a day. You need to do it. And speaking of that, I got a little something for y'all asses soon, but we'll wait for that. Anyway, you are in the process of sacred relationship healing of the divine masculine and divine feminine energies within your own soul. This is the advanced spiritual path of Tantra. It is a connection of the body and soul. The effects of this inner divine relationship healing is genuine enlightenment of the mind and the body. The body becomes a living sacred temple of light, energy, and wild aliveness. This embodiment can be experienced in movement, in deep stillness, in vitality, and in quietness. You are a Tantrika, a sacred priest or priestess of the tantric arts. Some people mistakenly believe that Tantra is simply about sexuality, but it is in truth the journey of the soul to bring masculine and feminine polarities into wholeness, love, unity, and empowerment, to learn to be the enlightened path in every element of your being. This is a soul-building work that is in great service to the spiritual healing and evolution of humanity, which is in deep need of those such as yourself, who can help create sacred connections between mind and body. It might be through your own personal healing of your body-mind connection, and perhaps through your healing services for others, that you walk your tantric path. It might be done in a private way or in an obvious way. What matters is that it feels right for you. Walking this path authentically is a choice to live in dedication to the sacred work of Isis, who taught us about the creative power that can come of healing the relationship between masculine and feminine consciousness. You are guided to accept this healing through learning to balance the masculine and feminine energies within yourself and your relationship with others. Balancing give and take, directing and flowing, play and solitude are ways to do this now. Learning to feel as comfortable as possible with your sexual and spiritual nature, seeing how they can complement rather than compete with each other is helpful too. Connection with that body is the most powerful form of feminine wisdom, of healing for the feminine energy, as it holds the secret to divine feminine wisdom. This can occur through movement, dance, and yoga that is based on body awareness and presence, rather than necessarily involving fast-flowing postures that may take you more in your head than your body. You can come more into your body through time in nature, swimming, laying in the sun, resting, or walking, provided that you stay present to the physical sensations that you experience. Ooh. Okay, so what's really interesting about that is it definitely creates that balance between the Libra energy and the Scorpio energy. Libra is the scale, literally the scales of balance, right? And Scorpio is very much sensual in the sense that they're present in all six senses, really, when evolved, and also really acknowledging that vital life force energy, right? So, like it was said here, Tantra isn't just about sex. It's mostly about the breath, and literally the breath is everything. Your breath is what gives you life, and what restores life to you, what restores your energy, what restores your brightness. So really just practicing being present with your breath, moving that breath through your body, visualizing it, visualizing your breath moving into the earth, moving into the ether. Something I like to affirm to myself is that I am a nexus between heaven and earth. I'll breathe in and see the energy coming into me from the universe, from God. And I'll see the same energy coming into me from the earth. So it's a balance. It's a perfect play.